And for today's video, we are going to be talking about the importance of fragrances and essential oils in your beard products.
We did not introduce our names. Like we always do.
I mean, I kind of left like a key for you to just pick up.
And another thing is you said you were going to do the opening. So what were you waiting for?
What do you mean? What was I waiting for? That was that was the opening.
Oh, you wanted me to take it to the intro? I seriously don't know. You said I'll do the opening, you do the questions. So to me, you're doing the opening.
What's up, guys? I'm not Kyle or Joe, but this is Beard Talk with Kyle and Joe. And today we're going to do a little special bit on safe, essential, and fragrance usage in beard care products. But first, it's time for the intro.
Welcome back from the intro, everyone. Well, Holly, you are the first person to ever introduce us that isn't us or our wives. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. And of course, welcome to the show, guys. This is Beard Talk with Kyle and Joe. I'm Kyle.
What's going on, guys? Of course, my name's Joe.
And we wanted to do a video on fragrance and essential oils. We hear all the time that you don't want to use too many fragrance oils because it can be harmful for your skin. It can be harmful for your beard. So why not bring in the perfect expert on the topic, as far as we know, Holly from Whiskey and Hardtack. So Holly, I know you've been doing this a long time. There's no one in the game more than we trust more than you for this topic. So what do our viewers need to know when they talk about fragrance oils versus essential oils, why they're so important, and why you have to get the perfect mix?
Yeah, so fragrance versus essential oils, and a lot of people don't even really know what that means because they see fragrance on things. Fragrance is anything that is created in a lab, so it's considered a synthetic fragrance. Essential oils are those things that are extracted directly from plants, you know, be they leaves or, you know, flowers or fruit, and there are different extraction methods. Something that a lot of people don't realize is many essential oils are used in the production of actual fragrance oils. And each fragrance oil is in the US considered a proprietary blend that is created by, you know, these fragrance houses or the people who have blended the fragrances. And each one kind of has its own set of allowable usage, also known as the IFRA, or some people say the IFRA. And every single reputable supplier of either fragrance or essential oils provides a certificate called an IFRA certificate, which lists out what the maximum, they're called dermal, aka skin, levels that are safe for different classes of usage. And there are 12 classes with a couple subclasses, you know, so hands have a different usage than face, that have a different usage than hair. And so there's all these different things you have to take into account.
Now, typically fragrance oils have a stronger scent. That makes much more sense now, because basically it's being made in a lab as opposed to essential oil, which is more natural.
It can vary though, because a synthetic citrus fragrance may last a shorter a duration than an essential oil that came like a vetiver or a patchouli. I mean, the joke in some circles is patchouli's forever. You'll never get it out. It's used often as a base note. And that's something that a lot of people don't know, is like you have these different notes in different scents, and each molecule of the scent is, you know, has a bigger or smaller size depending on its volatility. And that basically means how fast it evaporates. So things that are top notes are usually your citruses, and they're going to evaporate away a lot faster than things that are your base notes, which are your vetivers, and which is more of your smoky scents, and your patchoulis, which gives a real like grounded, almost earthy scent to some things. And there are people who don't like those scents on their own, but when they're blended correctly in a perfumery type, and I use perfumery, cologne, you could call it whatever you want, scents, they create something new. And depending on the number of base notes you have, things may last longer or appear to last longer than if you have something that is strictly top notes. So that's one layer to the whole scent duration thing, but you know, that's key in the initial part of your blend.
Right. Now, we've seen some, not many, but some companies who primarily use, or in all their beer products are essential oils only. No fragrance oils. And they typically brag about that. After hearing your explanation, that makes a little more sense. So in your opinion, what would you say the pros and cons of going essential oil only in a bottle of beard oil?
It is really dependent on what you're going for. At Whiskey and Hardtack, obviously we use some essential oil blends and some fragrance blends. So we kind of like straddle the line. There are segments of the population that really are very laser focused into the all natural. And so they don't want anything that was lab created, even if it's, again, perfectly safe for use. They really want to remain, okay, I want plant-based. I want this to have come from something natural. The pros are, again, it's natural. You pretty much can get all the technical reports and the data to see the purity levels of whether or not it was cold pressed, or whether or not it was distilled, or whether or not, you know, how it came to be and how pure your lot is.
And real quick, I'm sorry, you do hear that a lot. Cold pressed oils. So in a nutshell, high level, is that how they're abstracting the oils?
Yes. Citruses are really big for being cold pressed because it literally, the oil comes right out of the peel. If you've ever peeled a fresh orange, the orange essential oil is in the peel. That's that fresh scent that you get from any kind of citrus, and it's in the peel. So they will cold press it. The issue with cold pressed oils that are citrus are many of them are phototoxic, which means you'll get a sunburn. Or worse, if you go out and you're exposed to UV light. Not all citruses, but a great number of them are. So there are different grades that you can get. You can get cold pressed, but you can also get distilled, which again is a steam distill. They put the matter into a boiling vat of water, basically, and it looks like a moonshine still, for lack of a better term. Okay. And the essential oil basically goes through and is collected, and the water is discarded. So a distilled, in the sense of a citrus, a distilled oil won't have that super juicy peel kind of essence. It will still smell fresh, but it's not going to be as juicy smelling, if that makes any sense. So you have, and it doesn't make it any worse or any better in terms of, health benefits or anything like that. It's just a slightly different scent profile.
Yeah. So my one question that I have, and this is to help that newer beardsman or just that individual who, hasn't really matured yet in the beard game, and they're really focused on those strong, scents and fragrances first. Why is it important for a company to ensure that they are following the laws, the regulations? What could happen if a company decides to appease to what the customers want rather than focusing on what the laws and regulations are?
Strictly from a safe usage perspective, you only get one face, so you don't get another shot at this, despite all the plastic surgery in the world. So there are the extreme cases, sort of like you would experience an allergy on your face, which a lot of people will get, like, contact dermatitis type stuff. Again, the UV exposure if somebody uses a citrus incorrectly. But also there's this thing called the maximum dermal limit. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it is over the course of a human being's exposure, like the number of times you get exposed to something that strong will sensitize you potentially for allergies later on, and things that didn't used to bother you will all of a sudden you'll develop an allergy to. Or worse, it can, create endocrine disruption in your system. Like you just don't want to cross the line. Now, does that mean that scents that smell super strong are all obviously over the limit? No. That just means a number of different factors, such as, what base notes are in the scent. What is that individual scent's, allowable max dermal limit? Some of them can be as high as 100%.
Wow.
But you wouldn't put 100% fragrance oil in a beard oil bottle because that's not the primary purpose of beard oil. The primary purpose of beard oil is to make the skin and the beard feel and look healthier. It's not necessarily designed to be face cologne. And I think a lot of people want it to be face cologne, and there are colognes that exist for that particular function. Yeah, it's awesome if your beard smells great, looks great, but really it's more for the health of your beard and less for the fragrance of your beard.
Yep.
Amen. Amen. A lot of good info. So one last question for our viewers here. As the average consumer, right? The average person doesn't have big beards like us. The average person has a very medium or even short beard, maybe a bottle of beard oil or two. What are some things they can do to protect themselves? Obviously, you have to purchase from a company that you trust, but is there anything they can do to make sure they're putting a quality product in their skin and their beard?
Well, that's a lot harder. I'll be totally frank with you, because there is not a ton of oversight. There is oversight to a point. There are, good manufacturing practices. Everybody who's selling these oils should be carrying product liability insurance. They should have all their ducks in a row. But there's no independent audit process for that, particularly if a business makes less than $500,000 a year. Nobody's paying attention. Like, I don't want to say nobody's paying attention, but nobody's, there's not an inspector that comes in on a regular basis. Now, there are states that have different regulations to that, but at a federal level, it's not there. So some of that is just going to be trusting in the company owners to do the right thing and to, make sure that what they're doing is compliant and good. And some of that is just unfortunately going to come through trial and error. Mm-hmm. But to be honest, that's not just this industry. That's so many other industries outside of this. So you kind of have to take it as okay, you could go into a big box store and buy something off the shelf that ends up not being safe. That has happened numerous times. Right. There's a certain level of consumer trust that has to be built in. So unfortunately, there's no way they can just go out and say, oh, here's the checklist of things. And nobody's really beholden to release that information to the general public anyway.
Yeah, that kind of, and I lied. I have one more, and that kind of led me, you transition to my last one here. As a company owner, I don't want to open the floodgates, but when you have, or if you have, I should say, people reach out and ask these type of questions before I make a purchase, I'm curious in essential oils. I'm curious about fragrance oils. As a company owner, is that something you kind of appreciate when they do that?
I don't have any problem with it. I've had people ask about all kinds of things. And usually I set aside some time to answer them, particularly when they're being polite about it and they really are genuinely asking a question, not just kind of trolling, because those don't get answered. But you get those every so often and you're like, really? But when they're asking a genuine question and they're asking to understand, I don't have any issue talking through it. My previous bath and body care business that I was running since 2013, there were a great number of women clients who were very, very invested into whether something was essential or fragrance and how it was used. So, I was used to already answering those questions pretty regularly. Gotcha. So it doesn't bother me to answer that, within reason. I'm not going to go, well, here's how you blend this and here's how you do that.
Of course.
But, general information about why something is the way it is. No problem.
Of course. That's why I said I didn't want to open the floodgates, but it's just, it's good information to know, because it's amazing how many people go, oh, this is citrus, I'm buying this, without knowing what you're putting on and in your face. Yeah. So as you guys can, or let me say this first, Holly, a huge thank you to you for coming on our video here and giving our viewers some good information by someone who really does know their stuff. Joe, any closing words, my man?
No, just thank you so much. I hope this was very helpful to not just the newer beardsmen, but even the experienced guys who have been wanting to, dive deep into this kind of information. It's information that is hard to find and research. So why not bring the research to you guys in this kind of fashion with Holly, the human encyclopedia, we like to call her herself. Absolutely loved it. You killed it. Thank you.
Yeah, we love when she nerds out. So guys, thank you so much. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. If you like what we're doing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up. If you don't like what we're doing, feel free to hit the thumbs down button. Just leave a comment and let us know why that was the case, but we really do appreciate it. Guys, that's all the time that we have for you today. As always, keep it growing.
And we'll talk to you at the next one. Cousins
out.
Yeah. There you go. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Beard Talk with Joe. As you can see, we have a very special guest for today's video.
Beard Talk with Joe?
Huh?
Beard Talk with Joe?
You said Beard Talk with Joe. You
did I?
You totally did.
Oh.